We're gonna change the world
We don't even need the
With
song.
my hockey stick.
Gonna change the world
With my hockey stick.
I never sing. I just
Gonna
let you guys do
make
it.
a little difference.
feed the poor and heal the sick.
The yard in them every day until I
I
get
think
some
that's
kind of
it.
goodness. Someone really super rich will
I
say,
think-
"Here's $1 million. You can spend it how you like. You can change this world and turn it into something nice. I'll use my stick for foreign magic, giving meaning to our planet and everything we ever wanted. We will get to have it, and it's all thanks to my hockey stick concealer, which I use it. A hero to humanity. I swear I won't abuse it. I'll change the world. Yeah, I'll make a difference, man."
Oh, you know the lyrics. You know.
I just made all that up.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
You know those lyrics though.
Change the world.
Jeremy's, that's
Holy
basically
Jer-
his like religious.
Sure, I
hockey
don't
song.
ever want to hear that again.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, that was
I'm joking. I
obnoxious.
loved it. No, I loved it. Actually, did I love it, or am I just making? I felt bad by saying that. Now I'm kind of like,
It's okay.
no, Jared, I actually don't want to hear that again from you. Okay?
It grows on you. It actually does. It grows. You know, the first
I
time-
apologize to all of the listeners that had to just endure that 15 seconds of gibberish.
We can fix it with auto tune, though, right?
I'm joking, Jared. It was phenomenal.
Hayden,
creating.
did you have those
Keep
capabilities?
creating, Jared.
Not yet. No, I'm just on rookie level audio producing. So.
I like to kind of put it out there in the raw format, and then people can go and listen to the actual song. And
We've
Yeah,
never
no, that was
actually sang
fantastic.
the full song or played the full song.
I don't think I've ever actually.
Anyway, this is getting off course really quick. We wanted to start off the pod with something fun.
we're talking about the Stadium Series.
No,
Coach
we're
Tribute
not.
was I know. Hayden just
listening
told
to
us,
it, yeah.
don't talk about the Stadium Series.
Guys are
Coach
idiots.
Tribute.
I'm drinking a coffee, so I apologize if I'm a little jittery today.
No, we have a very special guest star, Connor Carrick. He played for the Leafs, played for the Bruins, currently playing, I believe he's on the Kraken now. He played for the Devils. We're bringing him on.
Played with Ovi too.
What a legend.
Few spots with Ovi, but he's actually like wild. I follow him on Instagram. He is just obsessed with human improvement. Like he wants to keep his job in the NHL, and he's doing everything. So we're going to talk about like supplements and nutrition and all the crazy training he's done. Obviously,
We got to ask him the worst pregame meal.
worst pregame meal for
Yeah,
sure.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I also want to dig into playing in the big market in Toronto because he played like 3 years, I think, there, and with Pappy, Matthews,
Yeah.
maybe some Babcock questions. We'll see.
Oh yeah,
we'll
yeah.
see. We'll see where
we'll dive
we take
deep.
it.
And even like talking about he's a little spiritual. He's got the mental side of training. So as far as like anyone who's looking for to get better, be better, I think like he's great because he needs to.
Yeah,
Like,
I love that.
He needs to be the best.
Yeah, like
He can't
talk
mess
about
around.
working hard to keep your spot or potential spot in the NHL.
Yeah, and before we get into that and invite him onto the show, I thought we'd have a little fun with the boys.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of drafts. I'm thinking we switch it up a bit just because we only have about 10 minutes before Carrick joins us, and we will do the top 3 worst things in hockey, like stuff that just annoys you. When it happens, you're like, oh my gosh, like what just really?
Oh yeah.
What grinds your gears?
I got a few.
Okay,
I have a ton.
Yeah.
I don't have any. I love the game, guys. No, there's always like these small things where you're just like, come on.
Should I lead it off?
You
Okay,
might
you
as well
laid it off.
start.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Just
start with
jump in, Hayden.
All right. This one just drives me nuts because I'm meticulous about my tape jobs for my stick. First shift face-off, skate into the blade and messes up the tape job.
That's great. That's
the
great
one, eh?
That's a great one.
That's like the most irritating thing because then the rest of the game I can't stop thinking about if that's messing up my shot, especially on the backhand, rides off. Just
like it rips up, or is it
you like the skate hits it and it like
Shred-
skids on it, so there's like a big bump or like an
okay.
exposed
Yeah, it's
area.
like there's a hole in your tape. That's brutal.
Are you just
Yeah.
on the bench, like looking at it, like, oh no?
Well, no, you try to fix it, but then every shift more and more snow builds up, and
Okay.
and you don't have intermissions in men's league to fix it. So
That's
Just to
funny.
clarify, snow buildup is different from what yours is a hole in the tape, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
a slash
yeah.
in this.
Okay, 'cause-
Especially
yeah, no,
when it
that's not
happens
the
right away.
same thing.
Okay, there's not
Snow
the same-
buildup is a
yeah,
different
because that was
issue.
something
Yeah.
that I might be was going on.
Oh yeah.
I'm the type of guy, like I'll tape my stick at the beginning of the year and then I'll just leave it on there like all season. It can be
How
just-
don't you get the gashes on it?
it has gash. It's like mutilated.
You
by
like,
the end of
my
the
gosh.
like
season.
it
I'm just like,
rough.
eh.
You like to keep it rough, eh? You like that stick just rough.
Well, I'll look at it.
Rough and
I
rowdy.
mean, I'm just banging them in anyway. So I'm smacking in those garbage.
Doesn't even matter. It
goals,
doesn't
so
even matter.
No skill doesn't matter.
All right, Jeremy, what's your first pick?
Number one for me, for sure, is when the Zam puts too much water down and you got the puddles on the ice.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's actually really good.
A little puck magnet right there, especially. So it's annoying in the warm-up because it's like, okay, now I have to use a different stick for my warm-up. And that's what I do. I got 2 twigs. I'll use one for the warm-up so the tape doesn't get soaking wet while I'm trying to just like even touch the puck.
Interesting. I can't do that. I got to get like acclimated to my stick that I'm using for the game.
Right. So ideally, you're going to have 2 of the exact same sticks.
Right.
Same curve, same flex, whatever.
But then the grips are always different too.
well, yeah, you're right. I know, but I just don't want my tape to be soaking wet.
I could see that. Yeah.
But it's even worse when it sticks. Like so the game starts and you still got this little strip of water right there.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Right? Your stick handle.
It's always in the corner or behind the net too.
Yeah, that one little strip.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be
All right,
one for me.
Chippy. What
All
about
right,
you?
and my first one's gonna be when coach comes in to the room and he goes, one more lap. So like when there's one more lap, I'm putting my helmet on. I got all my stuff on.
Oh, for the Zamboni.
For the Zamboni, he goes,
Wow.
well, yeah,
I
one
thought you were
more-
talking like bag skates. Like,
Yes.
No,
Same.
For the Zamboni, he comes in. It's right before the game. One more lap, boys. And then next thing you know, it's like 5 laps.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's brutal. And you're waiting for the game. Now I'm all
You're
nervous.
standing
You got
outside
your helmet on. It's like,
Yeah.
Coach, there wasn't one more lap. You were lying.
Just throws your timing right off, eh?
It does
Throws
because
your
because
timing
yeah, I've got my bucket on. I wait one more lap, put my helmet on.
I know what to do the next time you come to our men's league game.
One more lap,
I'm
boys.
gonna keep saying
One
one
more
more lap. The Zamboni's not even on the ice yet.
Brutal.
One
You
more
go
lap.
out and it's like there's 3 laps, and you're like, "Are you kidding me? I got to wait out here with 3 laps to go." It's insane, man.
I'm gonna throw in a little I don't know, injection. Is that the right word? I don't know. So I was coaching, I think like 9-year-olds or something years back, and I'd come into the room and I'd be like, "All right, guys, Zamboni has one more lap." They didn't have any concept of time, right? So they didn't know that one more lap meant like there's 30 seconds until we're on the ice, right? And they'd all be sitting there just like not. Like one kid would motivate one kid, and I'm like, okay, I had to come in and be like, guys, one more minute. And
Yeah,
then they're like,
yeah.
oh shoot, we're
Yeah.
almost on the ice. It was just a funny thing. I'm like, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
the anticipation
funny,
to
yeah.
wait is not fun when you're just like, I just want to step on the ice. I want to get out of the room and step on the ice. Like I don't want to wait and see
Yeah.
the Zamboni. Hayden, go.
Oh, right away. All right. I think for me, next most irritating thing, and this is relevant to me now as well, is getting a foggy visor. Because like just not being able to see right, and it's funny because it happens to me every single game, and I still don't find a solution for it because I leave it to the last minute and don't have.
Cage is
Yeah, I'm a cage guy.
No, but
so-
my cage fell off, and I don't have the hardware for it. So
No, I
when
see the
you-
fog would just be annoying. Like
Yeah.
I snowboard a lot, like we mentioned last pod, and when they fog up and you can't see, that's brutal.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
And it's really annoying when the cage starts fogging up on you.
Oh yeah, it doesn't happen with the cage because we protect
Imagine
ourselves.
that.
I protect my teeth.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy out there.
Number 2 for me is a flat spot on your blade. And I think it's actually worse than having dull skates.
Oh, on your skates. I thought you were talking about on your stick. I was
No,
like,
no,
what do
no,
you mean?
skate blade. So it's like when you lose an edge, but it's just like one little spot. So it's like you can skate,
yeah,
but it's always just like,
horrible.
oh,
Where
surprise.
you skid more.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's like,
yeah,
surprise, you can't turn left anymore.
Right.
It's like you can, but like
only on the toe or
yeah, if you do it just right, you can. So it's like you're just skating around waiting and not knowing. It's like you have this anticipation that you're going to eat it at any moment.
Right.
You just don't know when. It's like, oh, it was when I was trying to do a crossover to the left. And it's like, oh, not that spot.
Yeah.
So you got to play the game like carefully. It's like, I'm just going to turn right now. So I'd say, yeah, like a flat spot. or
Yeah,
like,
that's horrible. You don't want that ever.
yeah.
it's because you stepped on like a rock on the way to.
Yeah, and then you got the stone out every shift. You're like, I gotta stone the skate. I gotta get.
If you're lucky enough to have it, you can
Yeah.
save it.
Yeah.
So that's,
Alright, Chippy.
Yeah, mine's gonna be this one's more for defensemen. When you're going for a rush as a defenseman and the forward goes offside when you're absolutely flying,
Oh.
and the forward goes offside on a
should-
D-man,
you
it's
should have
the
passed
worst.
it to me. Why didn't you pass it?
No, it's brutal. It's like I get one rush all year because the forwards never pass it, and you're gonna go offside on me. It's absolutely insane. It's devastating for any defenseman. Any defenseman knows because the defenseman's about to go blow around the defenseman and go in and score the first goal of the season.
100%.
And you can't forwards. If you go offside on defenseman, you need to come talk to Coach Chippy because we got a big problem.
Especially
Got a big problem.
Especially when the D is rushing because you just built up. Like,
Yeah, you've blown around 3 guys, all the momentum. You're about to go end to end,
you got 100 feet of speed right there.
and then the forward has the audacity, like insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
I wanted the puck. You didn't give it to me. Offside. There you go.
Brutal.
Give it to me next time.
Brutal.
That's what you do. You don't pass. You go
Yeah,
offside.
I think you're getting a suicide pass the next.
All right, Hayden, last one.
This one, everyone's had it happen. definitely the worst feeling. And it's even worse when it's not your fault. Getting called on a penalty where you didn't do anything wrong.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like they step on your stick,
Yeah.
or
Oh.
like they just blow a tire. You don't even touch them, and you get called for it.
Yeah, that's brutal.
stepping on the stick is the worst.
I think
It's
that
like-
my top 3 is a winner right there.
yeah,
That's, that's a pretty good roundup
I mean,
lineup.
that third pick is definitely
That's
a
great.
big one. For me, I'm going to go with throwback to the minor hockey days, and it's when the water bottles were frozen. So coach left them
Oh, because
frozen?
they're in the back of the
No,
truck for too
frozen, or
long.
you couldn't squeeze the
It's
water out.
actually like frozen. So coach, like when kids didn't bring their own water bottles, coach had, the 6-pack and the pucks, whatever, right? And he left them in his truck for the whole week. So number one, they aren't full all the way anyways. And number two, they're just like frozen solid. So you lift it up thinking you're going to get some water, and then you tip it, right, to get a drink, and you go to squeeze, and you're like, oh, there is literally no water in here at all, and you're just sitting there all game hoping that it melts just enough that you can get a little drip out of it.
Yeah.
It happened too often in our league where bottles are frozen.
I'll add to
I'm a
that.
water guy. I'm a
just
big
like
water guy.
The water you're trying to squeeze, and it's too hard to squeeze, and you can't. Like I remember when I was in minor hockey, there'd be like the water bottle, you couldn't ever squeeze it to get the water out because the water bottle sucked.
Oh, you just had weak hands.
Weak hands. Well, you're 9. Well, I was 5.
Like
or
5
s-
years ago, maybe.
No, I mean, my hands. Have you seen my forearm training?
I think we could.
Hayden, have you seen my forearm training?
Your skits.
Whoa! Have you seen my forearm training? Ridiculous. Okay,
By
I
the
like
way,
that.
I would love to add a series like in the summertime where you and I just like train to like dominate the men's league.
I'm
Like,
down. I need to train.
I don't
actually
need to train.
No, Hayden's already good.
Hayden,
Right?
I'm gonna put you in a blender, Hayden. I'm gonna put Hayden in a blender. One-on-one.
Actually, no. Hayden can be the control. Hayden can do nothing. You and I can just go nuts, do all these different like experimental workouts,
And we'll go 1-on-1.
and then well,
King
then
of the hill.
we'll just see who has more points. Like we'll do like a little training.
Oh,
you know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
the season starts, and can we like outscore you? And like 5 games in, we'll see if it was a success or not.
I like that.
Like we'll be doing one-handed shots, one-handed.
You guys will
stick
put
handling.
me on a line with 2 other
Oh, yeah.
boneheads, and then you guys will be on a line together.
We'll put you on a helicopter line, eh? No,
Well, if
no
I'm-
wings.
If I'm on a line with my dad and my brother, then game over.
Game over.
Yeah.
Okay, I got my last one.
Yeah,
here.
last one here before we bring Connor on.
Okay, last one. It's when you're. This is for my clear tape people. When you have about like, there's like a little bit of clear left, and you're trying to tape your shin pads, and it just rips, and you run out of tape, and you can't tape your shin pads, and it's the worst. Trust me. Like,
I mean, I can't relate. I don't tape my shin
no,
pads,
but
but
the
I
people
know
that
the
do,
feeling.
the people that do tape their shin pads,
It happens
know-
on your stick too.
Yes.
That's the.
Yeah,
I'd say that's even worse.
Oh, well, it's the same thing. You run out of tape
Yeah.
at a hockey player. It's like, are you kidding?
Yeah,
me?
that's
I didn't
brutal.
Finish
I-
my tape job. I didn't finish my shin pads. Like,
That's a good pick.
And I think almost worse than actually hitting that cardboard is the anticipation. Like,
yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
You're like, can I get just a little bit? I just need to turn it over a little bit.
you look at it and you're like, yeah, I think we got enough. And then you start going, it's like, no,
And then you're like scared to like keep
Three.
going.
You feel the extra tension at
And
the
then, it
end.
just, and
Yeah.
then the cardboard just starts ripped up on the
Yeah.
like no way.
yeah, so close.
All right, Jerry, you want to introduce? We bringing on Connor soon?
Okay, so I think we kind of already did. So we got Connor Carrick,
Yep.
drafted by the Capitals. I should get this right, eh?
Did you do your research?
Well, I've just been following him for so long in Instagram that I feel like
He's a very interesting follow.
yes.
He's gonna join in about 2 seconds.
That's all right. The reason that I followed him is because of a quote on Twitter where I guess like a reporter, a journalist asked him a question, and he actually answered the question. Right? He didn't give like a cliche answer. Like
Right.
he actually broke down the play and gave a very analytical approach. And I was like, what a great hockey mind. Like this is a guy who plays hockey, but also
He studies
like,
the game.
He studies
He's
it
a student
as well.
of the game and of
Yeah.
health and fitness.
And that really got me. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So I tossed him a follow. I think he was on the Leafs at the time. And just following his path and seeing like his behind the scenes of what he puts in. I swear he must be the hardest working guy in the end. Like I'd love
It'd
to
be hard to picture someone more hard.
That's what I'm saying. And I would love to ask him about that. And it kind of goes back to our discussions we had earlier on in the pods, the early episodes about how to make the NHL. What does it take, right? To kind of, was he always the best player on his team,
Right.
right? Or was he kind of middle of the pack, but he outworked everyone else? And that's why he's making like these pro squads, right? So I'm curious, or like, was he always the best? And he also works hard.
Well, we're about to find out.
Yeah.
We're about
Without
to
further ado,
We're gonna bring him on.
welcome to the podcast, Connor Carrick.
Thanks for coming on.
Welcome to the pod.
No problem, guys. How you doing?
Doing great. I wanted to have you on because I've been following you on Instagram for quite a while, and you are just obsessed with human performance. And I have to think you might be one of the hardest working guys in the NHL. We did a podcast a while back talking about how to make the NHL, and I don't know if everyone that makes it works as hard as you to get there. I just want you to go off on what have you done to make it. Maybe start with your minor hockey days. Let's start there.
Yeah, start at the beginning.
So my minor hockey days, to go back, I was always an offensive sort of driven defenseman, and that was a lot of the way my team needed to play. We were a very good team, but not like the best club. We were the Chicago Chill and the Fury eventually, and we had some good players. But we were like the Mission, for example, we're the top team. CompuWare, some of the other Detroit teams would come and go, but we needed help scoring, and my dad loved the skill side of the game. And when I grew up, D-men were still, kind of big, heavy, hard to play against guys. And there were some glimpses and some players that were anomalies, but that was kind of how my development was structured. And then I was always one of the better players, hit puberty, 14, 15, started to get big and strong. I went from like one of the huge.
Yeah.
But it's a weird time, right? Like players are starting to size up where they are. Colleges are starting to recruit. Major junior drafts are starting to happen. All of a sudden, you start to make judgments on where you feel you are, and it can change pretty quick. So I went from like one of the better players, more skilled, to like, whoa, there's some guys that can seriously do things at a pace I can't play at, to, all right, I'm back. We're here. I'm at this level again as a man, emerging man, I guess, a young man.
Right.
U.S. development team, which was fine for me. We had a really good defense core. We had Jacob Trouba on that team, Seth Jones on that team, myself,
Couple big
Matt
hitters.
Grzelcyk.
Wow.
Matt Grzelcyk. We had Brady Shea was a defenseman, myself, and then Patrick Seeloff was a high-end pick.
Yeah.
We were high-end, and so that decision was fine. It worked out. Kind of made it past that in spite of that.
I'd like to hop in here real quick. You said that decision. That means deciding where to go to play sort of at the next level, right? You went USHL.
Yeah.
What were the other options?
I mean, I was always, the OHL was like that girl you shouldn't ask to the dance, but you think she's cute. Like, oh man, the visors, the CHL, everything about it was just, to me, the OHL was betting on yourself. It was going all in, and being an offensive D-man, I have a high risk tolerance. It's the way I like to play growing up. And some of the premier players I looked up to, Ryan Murphy was a name. Ryan Ellis was a name. Cam Fowler was a guy that
Ryan
went there.
Murphy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I have family
Stud.
friends that know him. Yeah.
All-time crossover for the Kitchener Rangers. Just goes knee to chest. It's a beautiful thing to watch. So buttery.
Right.
And so went to the OHL, had a huge year, breakout year, stellar playoff, and then at 19 turned pro, and made the Washington Capitals out of training camp. Didn't have a contract prior to training camp, and fifth round pick, 19-year-old fifth round picks don't make it every day. So that's a good trivia question for you guys. First 2012 NHL draft pick outside the first round to play in the NHL game.
Wow.
Really?
That's a sign of the hard work.
Well, so
I've got a banner hung up in my room. As you can tell, I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, well, you should be.
I'm just screwing around.
that was well, you should be proud of that. That was one of my questions because I saw a fifth round pick, and I'm looking. There's a lot of guys got drafted before you that didn't play. Why? What happened there? Why?
Well, I was pissed. I was pissed. I made like a mental note. I'm like, that guy's got to go. That guy's got to go. That team's stupid. And I took it personally, and I'd felt going into that next year when I was going to go to the OHL, I had a lot to prove. I'd always been a hard worker. I think at this point I've found to make it more enjoyable and sort of an honoring to those that have done all they can to allow me to play this great game. When I was younger, I was a spicy kid. I wanted to prove it every day, and that's how I
little chip
that's how
on the
I was
shoulder.
wired. Yeah, just real spicy, and wanted to demonstrate what I thought to be true, and to do it as consistently as I could.
So when you're walking onto that Washington Capitals team at 19, what's it like? You got Ovi in the room. Like, was it just Was it a trip a little bit? Like,
I was petrified. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't. I was going to Supercuts. I went to like some barber to try to make me look older. At the time, give me a nice haircut.
Touch
I
of
had, like,
gray.
I had like my high school backpack going on trips, and you got
Oh,
Louis
right.
Vuitton. Luggage going right the plane. This is banana lands, and
Right.
some of it was just the mentality. Like I didn't have a runway where, hey, this is what's happening. You're starting to get close. Like there's sort of a massaging with prospects to align their game with their reality in the organization. Like this is kind of where you're stacking up.
Right. And everyone
But-
has
and
a
it
job.
happens so-
yeah.
And it happened so fast that I really couldn't wrap my head around it. It really was. It's almost difficult to remember even that first year because it's 10 years ago now. I'm in my 10th year pro. That's one reason. But two, it was just like I had nothing to compare it to.
Right.
And it was so novel. It was so new.
Yeah.
Well-
Well, yeah, those high stress scenarios that tend to be flashes in your mind in terms of memory, like when you're overthinking everything, you tend to look back on it and you can't remember the details because you were so like thinking about like, oh well, what if I'm this? What if I'm that? Right? You're in your own head more.
So
I mean, my first NHL game was against the Stanley Cup banner raising Blackhawks.
Wow.
with
In
Taves,
13
Kane.
because they won in 2012. Taves, Kane, like hosts on like their third line. Sod,
Yeah, they were
Duncan
stacked.
Keith, y'all. I couldn't believe it. And I come out, they got all the lights out. They got the stuff. Everyone's got their phone or whatever, the candles they give out, whatever they are, and the towels going.
Oh, right, yeah.
I mean, it was anarchy. Jim Corneliuson's, singing the national anthem, and the distance between warm up and the game, it felt like 2 hours because all the ceremonies. I just felt like they were icing the kicker.
Right.
And,
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
it just couldn't start fast enough. I was itching in there.
Right.
how'd you go in your first game?
I struggled. The first, I was on the ice for the first goal against, I think it was Brandon Bolig. It was a point shot. And that was one thing I'd noticed, I'd say, as an undersized sort of demon in the NHL is just how valuable reach is.
Mm-hmm.
As an undersized player, I can't stand that is a fact. But just with how well coached and how structured the NHL game is, like reach really does help. There's ways around it, but there were just certain times where I'm like, I feel like I should be breaking this play up or being able to do something better than what I am. And there were just pucks I couldn't get to that,
You going with a longer
especially when I was
stick?
younger. Yeah. Yeah. Well, did I go with the longer stick? No, I just started to learn how to like get underneath hands on my like poke check. Like I call it like a lizard's tongue, like these little
Right.
snaps of the poke check being a lot more,
Aggressive with it, yeah.
in and out with it. Yeah.
Kind of like disguise your reach and then be real quick on it, eh? Versus
Yeah. I mean, Spurgeon's, masterful at it. Guys in the NHL, like they're able to use their defensive stick almost to pass pucks. Like they're not only arriving somewhere or kind of knowing that they're going to do something to break up a play, they're actually making the next play with their poke check. It's really incredible the way guys use their stick now.
I've never really thought of it that way, but that's a next level skill. It's like
It's like in pool, you're staying one step ahead. Like you got to think about what's the next ball? Where's the puck going to go?
yeah, you
right?
got to place the cue ball for
Yeah.
your next shot, right? That's wild. Yeah, I never even thought about that. So you're a little envious of Chara, where you can stand on the dot and reach the boards, right? You got to adapt.
There was one, especially the offensive guys. Like I get it when you're big and your goal is to like take up lanes. You got the big skates and you're a killer. But like I hate watching Brent Burns. Like I hate watching guys that are like 6'5" and they're offensive and they're just playing the game with dimensions that
Or guys
you
like
can't even really say.
or guys like Hedman, where he's
Or
got
Tage
the
Thompson,
side,
like
or Tage Thompson too.
I love Tage Thompson.
I
Like,
love his game.
What an arrival!
Yeah,
What an arrival! And Don Granato was the 17 coach when I was with the under 18 national team development program, and guys raved about him. So I've always just kind of kept an eye on Don's career, and it's been really cool to see Buffalo have, the success that they've had this year.
Leafs face off against him.
Oh yeah, that's
or I
good
guess
game.
when this podcast comes out, they will have already played. So we'll see.
So you've made the NHL. You went from was it the Plymouth Whalers in the O, right?
Yep.
And then your first game is the Capitals. How did that compare going from the O to the N?
I mean, just the level of the scheme. Like I remember, just in junior, like you just play defense. You just defend hard. Like you gap up, you defend hard. Like that's kind of the end of the team structure.
Right.
And then you get to the NHL and teams are playing like these different zones where Centers are kind of coming out of the middle of the ring to, come after guys. Wingers are just holding dot lanes, and defensemen are kind of playing their corners. So, like, I remember there was a play, for example, I think it was my second game was against Dallas on the road. And I beat my guy at the blue line. I was an offensive demon, like I said, and I kind of had, some tricks up my sleeve at the old blue line. It was where I felt comfortable, kind of walking my guy. And all of a sudden I'm starting to pick my eyes up, excited to make a play at the net. And the second layer comes out.
Right.
Stabs the puck.
Like,
the
what's
first
this?
guy,
Yeah.
the first guy, screwed off and just went to the far blue line, and they chipped him a breakaway. And I'm sitting there, looking for quarters on the ground. Like, what happened?
Right.
And it was just it's a huge difference in terms of the X's and O's, how crafty guys are, how sneaky they are. Like, you'll get pressure on the forecheck. You're doing your shoulder check. The guy's all over you. You race back for the puck, you peel it off the yellow, and you go to make a middle pass, a middle pop, and all of a sudden the guy that was all over you decided to stop.
Right.
And now you're literally passing it to him at the hash marks, and you're like, who does that?
Right.
NHL players do.
There you go. So a lot more X and O, a lot more complicated, and probably a lot fewer mistakes, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, even the fans, I think, kind of give it to you. And if you ice a puck in an NHL game, you go to make a pass and it hops over the guy's stick or something, there's just this silent.
You
Yeah.
feel
What are you doing? Like you got 20,000 people shaking their head.
right.
Who's the new
Why'd
guy?
you airmail it?
Yeah,
Pizza
Yeah,
down the middle of
yeah.
the ice. What's going on?
Yeah.
You mentioned social media a little earlier before we went live here. What's your take on social media as a pro player? Because I feel a lot of fans are just too they don't realize that they're talking about people. Oh, they're pros, so we can say whatever we
I
want.
see them as objects of
Yeah,
yeah, true.
Yeah, give me your take on that social media and being a pro player.
I mean, as a fan, you kind of have a license to do what you want, and I get it. There's anything you see on TV, you can turn an NHL game on, and you can go to Netflix and then turn Transformers on, and they both feel like entertainment. They
Right.
both feel like something other than whatever it is you are. But I promise the people at home that I was the kid just growing up watching these guys, trying to study, thinking this guy was good, that guy stinks, I could do better than that.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're there, you're on TV, and
Fair.
I have a mom and dad, I have a wife and kids, they treat me just like your mom and dad treat you, and so it's a wild phenomenon. I always just try to provide what I would have wanted maybe as a young player on social media from an educational approach. I actually had a teammate kind of give me a hard time because I'm kind of a ball buster, joker in the locker room a bit, and he's like, "Man, you're pretty intense on social media." I'm like, "Well, I'm a bit of both, but the one thing that was an invitation to me to participate in that world was a lot of players I've talked to when they're done playing. This is something they begin to engage in, and their network and the ideas they're exposed to, the different people, the different business opportunities that open up to them. They're really excited by it, but they cannot believe that they passed on, the opportunity that was doing this while they played.
Right.
Right.
And
so I
100%
was
agree
like-
on that. That's when
So I'm like, these guys have been to the other side.
Yeah.
Their career has died, and it's being able to. I don't want to have to use a second chance. I just want to take their advice and use it as it makes sense.
Well, I love what you're doing. You definitely you have the spotlight when you're playing, and then that's the best time to build your following. And I'm a big fan of what you're doing.
Thanks. Thanks.
Your intensity is definitely there. The type of training, I'm just like, wow. I cannot believe that every player in the NHL is doing what you're doing. Is that a fair statement? Are you working harder than a lot of guys? There has to be guys that are just mailing it in.
I do work harder than a lot of guys, but what I think you'll be surprised at the pro level is everyone kind of has a little bit of their recipe, and they're not always as forward with showing it to you. So I was reading about this Kobe Bryant story,
Mhm.
and there's an element of gamesmanship that does exist at the highest level, and
Right.
he was discussing with Tracy McGrady, and I thought this was gold, kind of classic Kobe. I'm into Kobe and studying, Michael Jordan, these different guys from another sport where the information is maybe just a little bit more public because of the cities they played and how much success they had.
Mhm.
And Kobe's talking to T-Mac, and he's like, what are you doing today? It was the off season. He's like, I'm going to go to the gym and work out. Kobe's screwing with him. He's like, what are you doing that for?
Right.
Just go home. It's not a big deal. Just, it's the summer. Call it a day.
Meanwhile, he'll be
And
at
Tracy's
the gym.
like, oh yeah, haha. I get it. No, I agree. I get you. He goes up to the hotel room, changes his shoes, comes down, and like Kobe's already in the gym. Like since they had this conversation.
Right.
And so like there is a little bit of that where guys don't always like kind of show their cards. There's an element of like, I will work as hard as I need to and can, to be my very best, but like I'm not necessarily going to show you everything.
Right.
I will if you ask,
Yeah.
or you have a question about something. But like, it's an element of illusion there.
I feel like it could be a bit of an ego thing as well. Like you're at the highest level. You're like a superstar player. You don't want people to see you trying. Like you just want to be good. You want to show the best. You don't want to see people or have people see you making mistakes. That could be part of it.
Well, it's intimidating too. It's like I'm this good and like you kind of don't even know how.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even know how I'm this good.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to show you.
Was there any guys you played with that were just naturally just unbelievable, like the skill level? Like, obviously, you played with Ovi and Backstrom and those kind of guys.
What I think's incredible about those guys is like their talent is insane. Mike Green was another one. Like he would do this. We'd do this like 2-on-1 bump drill where you'd start at the offensive blue line all the way back to the other. Like far dot almost. And he would send this like lunar sauce that seemed like it was in the air for like 2 days. And it would land right on guys' tape. It was nasty. Like Nick Backstrom's backhand is incredible, but like they do all train their little thing that they do often on the ice like really well. Like if you look at Alex Ovechkin's one-timer and his setup and like the posture in his hands and like how much motion's involved, his strike to take that one-timer, it's not the same as when he first came in the league.
Mm-hmm.
He had 50 goals then, he has 50 goals now, but he does it differently.
It's very optimized.
And I think he does it better now, and it's tidy and it's organized and it's balanced. And like I, was able to see some of that work on that. Austin Matthews is another classic case. And you guys are, the Leafs always loom large, right? Like you're always
we're Leafs fans
no matter
over here.
where you played, you're an ex-Leaf. I mean,
we're big Leafs fans.
Yeah.
Like I remember there was this one game in Toronto or in Columbus rather, and it was like a Tuesday game. We were practicing the day before. It was rainy outside. Guys walked over to the rink. Like it just was a sleepy morning. We had just gotten in off the road from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And like Austin Matthews, like his heart rate looks like it's like 30 beats a minute. Like it looks like you fall asleep, if he blinks too long.
Calm, cool, eh?
And we're in like one of the guest locker rooms, not even the game locker room. And all of a sudden, like he like puts his gear on, he kind of moses over. He's like sipping on a cup of coffee, and he gets on the ice and he like one stride, two stride, kind of stick handles, and it's like whoosh,
Right.
like slams this puck off the back bar, like grabs another one, whoosh, and like. True talent when you're in front of it, like you absolutely cannot believe just how good it is.
That's and I feel so. We talked about this in our first podcast, how to make the NHL, and I kind of have this philosophy where you're born with like a certain set of skills, and the amount of work you do can kind of push you close to your plateau. But each player has a bit of a plateau. I believe that has to be true because obviously everyone wants to put up Gretzky numbers. Everybody wants top line minutes. They want to be all-stars. And there's got to be guys that are on the fourth line that are working their buns off to make the top line. And I guess no matter what they do, they just have to be the best them, right? But not everyone can put up, McDavid numbers or be McDavid. I would love to get your thoughts on that if you've thought deep on that.
So I would argue it's a lot less about developing into a pro, and it's much more like the pro's already in there, and you kind of have to shape the marble into the player that you're going to be and be the best player that you are. It's not something I like to hear. I like to think it was all work ethic as a kid, and that's just not the case. Like I remember there's a player in our gym who's an NHL superstar, and I'll leave his name out because he's rather private. And we did this test on different athletic markers. It was a genetic test, and I was discussing this player's like aerobic fitness. It just looks like he shows up every day as if he didn't train yesterday. Yeah. Like I know we trained our ass off, and he's cool.
Right. It's
like nothing happened. And like, why is he recovering so fast? And like our trainer was saying, well, his heart is just so efficient at clearing the metabolites of exercise. It's like it never happened.
Huh. Wow. That's interesting.
And I'm sitting here like gas from yesterday. And I'm like, wow. So like this guy shows up every day at his A.
Yeah.
At his A game. Like there is no recovery process.
Right.
There was another measure we did with like a concussion protocol type doctor, like a baseline. That's the word I'm looking for.
Right.
And I don't know what the unit of measurement is, but he was taking me through like kind of the snapshots different brain, nervous systems are able to acquire. And he's like, the average person on the street is like, let's say they can handle 200 images per whatever the unit of measurement is. I don't remember. He's like, your average NHLer is like 400.
Wow.
Wow.
He's like, I've done some of the NHL superstars. So he goes, so life compared to the average person happens in half speed.
Yeah.
To the average NHLer. And it makes sense. Like I'm driving in the car on the highway and things are happening fast. And someone like kind of comes in my lane. I'm like, oh, beep, kind of signal. I get out of the lane. No problem. I'm cool. I'm calm. I feel like it. I've been with drivers in the car. You've been with drivers in the car. All of a sudden that car starts merging at him and like, it's a full
Panic
glitch
mode.
out.
Yeah.
Full panic because it looks like it's happening faster to them. And so
Wow.
the doctor I was working with said, I've worked with some of the NHL superstars again, like some of their names, they're private. They can talk about this stuff when they want, but like they're double the average NHLer.
Right.
And
even more so.
Is there a way to train that? I'm sure you probably looked into this.
I mean, there's ways to, particularly refine it, but it's like Usain Bolt's kind of Usain Bolt. Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Right.
like
Usain
everyone's
Bolt,
trying.
yeah, it's like
He's just
Usain Bolt
faster.
wasn't going to be a chess master. He wasn't going to, he's going to be a runner. But
And so you have to select for the right thing, and off you go. And I mean, there's no question. There's absolutely things that you can develop. Just look at the quality of different players. So like Nikita Kucherov, we would say, is an NHL superstar. He is way better now than he was when he first came to the league. He's making clips at a way higher
Right.
percentile of success, and the quality of the game is better.
yeah,
So he's doing it against way stiffer competition. Like I came in 10 years ago, the NHL game and even the AHL game is worlds better than it was. Worlds
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
I got to agree
And
with that.
so if you're still climbing despite all of that,
It's impressive.
it's incredible. Patrick Kane a couple years ago went from, what was it, like 80 points to like 120 playing on a still playoff missing team. So like you do get to participate in your development and like the quality
that.
of year that you're having. Eric Carlson.
Yeah.
Eric Carlson
Yeah.
was Eric Carlson last year. He's a different beast this year.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
And
feel
so-
he was Eric Carlson, and then he had a bit of I don't know if it was a
Injury
mental-
dry spell almost or something. Yeah.
Maybe he kind of gave up on himself. I don't know, and then he just decided that he wanted to be Eric Carlson again. I don't know, like if that's
There was this beautiful. So we talked about my work ethic and kind of like what goes into it. And I don't argue most NHLers, especially the ones that have been around a long time and have had good NHL coaches, have like really dialed in this process of how they look at the game, how they understand what it is they really do uniquely out there. There was a tweet I saw by a St. Louis Cardinals pitcher. I think the guy's name was Adam Wainwright. I thought this was sick. He apologized to the fans
Oh.
on Twitter, and he said, "I'd like to apologize to the St. Louis Cardinals fans. I thought I just had kind of dead arm down the stretch. He's a pitcher, and upon video review, I usually should catch this, and this is kind of an insight to the level of intensity that the level of study that goes on. The highest level he goes. I noticed there was a ball I took off the shin. I wasn't injured. He's like, but there was a ball I took off the shin at whatever date, and ever since then, my delivery to the home plate was a foot shorter."
Huh.
He goes, and I missed it until the season was over.
Interesting.
And he goes, so whatever video they're applying, they're literally measuring the gap between his push-off foot and his landing foot.
Yeah.
And it was a foot shorter.
That's quite a bit.
And he
Big
goes, and I
difference, yeah.
apologize for not catching it.
Oh. Wow.
crazy.
Yeah, that's a level of detail that I don't think any average Joe
No.
sport will catch on to.
What are your thoughts on the iPads on the bench? I know some people have mixed emotions. I'm not an iPad guy. If you're throwing the iPad during a game, I think that's crazy. But that's just my opinion.
I think between periods you can. I
Yeah.
just think during a game, no need. I don't think you need to see it unless it's specifically like a power play thing, and they really did something like you got pressure from somewhere in your pre-scout that you really didn't anticipate.
Right.
I almost wonder if there would be an extension of like the video coach staff if they had an iPad in the back that was kind of like locked and loaded.
Yeah.
Hey, this is a play that we think we need to see. Hey, bring it up to the Saminajad, Panarin, and
Yeah.
Kreider, whoever's on the Rangers power play kind of thing.
So that Kreider can
Check.
smash it and throw it to the side.
But I mean, as far as the iPad in game, I think you've you've got to pay attention to what's out there.
Right.
Yeah,
You
you got to
know,
be in the
I
present
think once
moment. You can't be reflecting on a past shift or a mistake that you made or something like that.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Yeah, because I think being in the present is so important, especially at that level. If you're not in the moment, you're going to be overthinking a pass. Like my whole thing is don't think, just flow. Like you got to be flowing. Would you say that at the NHL level, the best players, like you talk about Austin Matthews, are they just out there, just know their ability and just flowing and not necessarily thinking too much?
I'm going to jump in here just to set this up for the audience because Connor is a very analytical type of guy. I think you think the game quite a bit, so it'd be interesting to hear that contrast. And
I
if you flow
completely
out there.
agree. I think it's all about not thinking and just playing. I think you can do your homework outside of it, and you can run through certain scenarios and kind of understand what your assets are and like what it is you do well and push the game that way. You kind of have a game plan.
Right.
But there was a play Brad Marchand this year against the Leafs. I think it was the Leafs were at home, and I don't watch a ton just because we play and my wife comes to the games and stuff. The last thing I want to make her do is watch another game on TV.
Right.
But I'll watch the highlights and study what I can. There was like a play tic tac toe, Marchand's back door, big glove save sliding across, and like by the time the whistle had even blown, the goalie made the save. Like Marchand was already on his way back to the bench, like getting ready for the next play, for the
Right.
next shift.
He's like
And
shaking
I
it
thought to
off
myself,
already. Yeah.
I couldn't believe the level of focus on display. And I think as players get sharper, as they start to go from like a lot of how you get to the league is like you're just a high end. You for the most part have skilled your way there. And then I love this emergence of NHL players where it's like, oh, their identity's really starting to emerge, and like they have a signature. These are the things they do every night,
Right.
I'd
and
say
that's where the
Marchand,
focus.
like
Yes, and that's
he shifted his.
Wayne
he changed.
Simmons.
Yeah.
Wayne Simmons said it wonderfully, and I think Brad Marchand's like this. Like there's certain guys that are always look a step ahead, and Wayne Simmons said to me, he's like, initiate, never respond.
I like that.
And I was like, man, he really does. He always seems like he's got some sort of plan to drag his team into the fight, to drag himself into it, to get himself going.
Yeah.
And that's a skill. That's a mindset before the game where you're starting to set guys up. You're starting to know who's playing well. You're starting to know where on your team, what kind of strings you can pull. And that's the game within the game, man. I love it.
And I think that's really an elite level thing. Read and react is kind of like you're a good player. You can read and react quickly, but to be like a great player, you're manipulating, right? So initiating and making things happen for you rather than, seeing.
Every action has a reaction. You gotta be the one making
I think
more
there's
actions.
a way in which like you've done so much with your preparation. You earn the right to just go out there and just play. The ability to go out there and just play like isn't reserved for everybody.
Right.
And the thing that I can't I have to suggest is ice time is the greatest ruler of that. Like any game where I've ever gotten above 13 minutes, like I'm in the flow, overthinking's not an issue. I'm in the game.
Right.
Legs feel good, hands feel good. Before that, you feel like a tin man out there, just like clunky. You feel like one of those like wound up race cars, and like all the other race cars are going around the track, and like you're still just winding up, and like you get dropped from the sky. And you got like this road runner sensation where you got to get going.
Yeah, everyone's flowing.
And that's an art in and of itself. How guys play those minutes for long, because certain guys make an entire career out of it. All they do is snap back draws, PK on the defensive side.
Doing the
They
intangible
play their
small
8 minutes.
stuff. Yeah.
Well, each guy needs their specialty, right? Some guys are superstars. They got that skill. They're just going to stay in the league. Other guys need to find something that will keep them on a team. What have you been doing? Like, what do you think your specialty is? What's your number one? What do you bring into the squad?
The few things I've been, part of what got me in the NHL was my ability to do a little bit of it all, and that was kind of my role with the Leafs. Like, if Morgan Riley or Jake Gardiner went down, I played some power play. I played the top. I played the bumper at one point. I played my one time the half wall at one point, and that was a good thing. I could kill. I didn't have the length of like a Ron Hainsey, who made an entire career of
Being in the
6'4",
right
kind of
place,
that long
reaching.
stick.
Yeah.
Being able to
6'4" every time
be
he
as
steps on the
lengthy as he
ice.
was.
Yeah.
Exactly. For me right now, it's really about being explosive on the rush both ways. I think at the old blue line, I have some great assets, but I think a lot of other offensive defensemen do as well, with the slap shot and one-timer being one that I kind of hang over their head. But it's really being able to be explosive out of the middle of the rink on the rush against, and then flying up the ice. I think it's a 4-on-3 league. Like the two players on every team that just aren't paying attention defensively is F1 and F2 on the forecheck.
Right.
So if you can jump by one of them, you can get over the red line and play in the offensive zone over and over and over and over. If you're doing that, you're going to be plus because they're not scoring from the other side of the red line.
Morgan Riley does that a lot. Yeah.
Exactly. So Morgan kind of has this like hide in the weeds. You know, he plays defense, he plays hard, but he's not necessarily like known for the defensive stops and things like that. But like he is tremendous as soon as there's a transition.
Yeah.
He's open, he wants it, he calls for it, and he gets the puck to the other side of the red line. He's $6 million crossover, like unbelievable ability to get away from people.
Even those backwards crossovers, he's still flying, eh? When he can wind it up one way or the other.
There's a reason they put him out in the overtime 3-on-3 a lot, because he's got the wheels to get back.
Yeah, his glide is
unbelievable.
His glide is tremendous.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, we could talk about. There's so many directions we could take this. I really want to dive in, and I don't know how much time we'll spend here, but on your off ice routines, the things you've been doing. It seems like you are doing all kinds of crazy stuff. You got blankets you put over your legs to recover. You've got all kinds of different like workout techniques, and it seems somewhat experimental. I would love to know what you've tried in the past, what hasn't worked, what kind of turned out to be like, I didn't really like that, and what actually works. And do you feel that would work for other people? Like what's like something you found you're like, I cannot go without this? And give me
for the most part, it all works. It's just was the juice worth the squeeze.
Gotcha.
For example, a lot of these recovery modalities, they all take 20 minutes. Eventually you run out of 20-minute blocks. You just can't like sit around and biohack all day.
Yeah.
At some point, Charlie wants to play shinny hockey. So it's like, you got to take the recovery boots off.
Eh?
Yeah, exactly. From the training side, I would say your strength work, your speed work, your skill work, and your sleep and your hockey sense. Like those are like the 5 S's. Mm-hmm. You touch on those different buckets. They should be in a certain order, just because the nervous system kind of responds to certain ones in a certain way. Mm-hmm. And this kind of makes sense, right? Like, so let's say one of them I mentioned was strength, and another one was speed. Well, like you don't feel very fast after a bunch of squats or lunges. So like maybe we should do the sprints before the strength. That seems to make sense. Right. The science tends to back that up from a research standpoint. And I wouldn't say anything I do at this point in my career is experimental. I would say the higher end strength coaches and performance coaches, like there's pretty good research on a lot of this stuff, and anywhere they are making a logical leap, it's because they like understand the stresses at play,
right,
and are making an educated guess, and the science will follow.
I would say like advanced. Like to me, I'm like, oh, this seems like a little like out there, but obviously you're not going to just take a risk on something. You want to make sure that it's like scientifically backed before you drop in your game. You're trying to stay in the league. You're trying to, you don't want to like just mess around. What about supplements? It seems like you're always, you have a strict diet. What do you believe is, the right way to fuel your body, and what has really helped? And is there anything that you're like, not really for that?
Well, so here, I think I was a little vague in the previous one. So basically, I'll tie the two in together, because I think I view my entire wellness and performance routine to be under the blanket of Duncan Keith had a quote I read earlier in my career, which is like, the easiest way to play poorly is to be sick or to be hurt. So avoid those two things the best you can. Then like Chippy was saying, there is an element of getting into like your body and feeling real proprioceptive and sensitive to like where you are in time and space, and like feeling flowy. There are things we can do warm-up wise to do that. So like I get to the rink, I do some of my mobility stuff. I, hop on the bike, do some like nasal breathing. There's good research on being able to like improve nitric oxide levels and get more blood flow. Everyone knows that's a good thing. Kind of get the diaphragm going, like get your breathing muscles like awake, and encourage that this is the pace we're going to move at for the next, hour or two at practice.
Right.
Mobility, some of like the stability stuff. So like, some of your standard stretching, some of your like normal warm up stuff, lunging, crawling. I'm thinking bear crawls, lunge, twist this way, twist that way. It's, you don't have to, think about it too hard. Just, get bendy and strong.
Right.
And then some of your speed stuff. So, your sprints, your jumps, some of your core lifts, bang, get on the ice, get off, reorganize the tissue, stretch a little bit again, maybe a flush ride, sauna, cold tub, get home.
Sounds like a nice routine.
It's butter.
I
I'm
might try it
dialed
for
in.
men's league.
And well, yeah, it's not exactly my men's league routine, but that's like for you, that's like your entire day is devoted to just not
To
being,
that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then on the eating side, it's like protein and vegetables. That's the core of everything.
Okay.
And then, support my exercise with carbohydrate that makes sense. So like your rice, your potatoes. And generally, if you eat enough of the good, it kind of crowds out the desire for bad. I don't drink. I, maybe have a glass of wine or two a month. I, sleep as much as I can, supplement wise. Protein is the macronutrient that North Americans in general, have the hardest time getting enough of. You want to get close to your body weight in grams. So, I'm close to 200 pounds. That's about what I aim for. I aim for about 200 grams of protein a day. That'll be, a shake or two.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on the shakes versus like real meat?
Real's always ideal.
Yeah.
It's just hard to get to 200 with all the meals and it's not even the cooking or the appetite, because a lot of athletes have a hard time actually eating. They just genuinely don't want to eat as much as they need to.
Yeah.
It's just the cleaning. I feel like I'm cleaning pots and pans constantly, trying to make all this up. And, the supplement wise is kind of, it's the cherry on top. It is exactly what it is. The word is used, supplement, to supplement a
Proper
diet that is elsewhere, solid.
Right.
And I think it all comes back to Duncan Keith. Like when you watch Nate McKinnon move the way he does, it looks like it takes a tremendous amount of energy.
Yeah.
Right. And so I want to feel energetic. It's kind of the only way it goes now. And if you watch, there's times where I've been hurt, for example, in my career, and I watch an NHL game or even an AHL game, and I'm like, man, those guys are good. Like, I can't believe I play out there.
Right.
Like they're so damn fast. Like, and so it's a little bit about, it's just a tall order to be your best all the time. And it's just like, it's the bare minimum that you can do.
Yeah.
Let's flip over to the mental side, but first, I just need a good breakfast because I'm just
that's what I wanted to tap
I'm
into.
pounding
Yeah, like,
back
what do you
French toast, pancakes. It's all carbs and sugar. Like you were talking about protein and veggies. I'm like, I would love to just get that in for breakfast. Like, give me a few recommendations.
Protein and fiber. So like I do what Charles Poliquin kind of made it famous. It's called like meat and nuts. It really just means a protein source and some sort of fat.
Yeah.
So like, let's call it 6 to 15 almonds. I say that because it's easy to eat like 30, and all of a sudden you've had 500 grams of 500 calories of mixed nuts.
Right.
They're pretty caloric.
Yeah.
I will do like grass-fed ground beef. I'll do ground bison sometimes. I will do like leftover chicken thighs if I had them for dinner.
That's your
I will do
breakfast,
eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll do eggs. I will do like a cup of bone broth and like a protein shake. So, spinach, broccoli sprouts, another great one to put in there. Almond milk.
You're not touching the cereal boxes. No
makes
cereal. No cereal.
I grew up on all that.
Yeah.
I had cocoa weeds, cream of wheat, Fruit Loops marshmallow growing up.
It's easy for the parents. You got to get some food in the kids somehow and then get them to the rink.
Yeah. And, I just want to keep the blood sugar levels as level as possible. There's good research on like some of the visual systems and like how they struggle when the blood sugar gets wonky, especially later in the day. And got to be able to see on the ice.
Yeah.
So, protein and fiber is your best way to go for breakfast. And I don't really believe there's a such thing as like breakfast food.
That's a marketing
I'll
ploy.
eat whatever for breakfast. Yeah.
Right.
It 100%. Breakfast foods was invented by marketing people in like the 60s to sell more cereal and eggs. It's a campaign.
And I'll do eggs. Like eggs are great. They're quick. We can jump out the door. I'll throw every once in a while just to mix it up, like a chia seed pudding or like a steel cut oats and goji berry, hemp hearts, a protein powder, something like that. Like I'm human. I don't want to eat the same stuff every day.
No,
my dog loves it, but
Yeah, you go to any Asian country, they're eating like rice and meat for breakfast. The same stuff they have for dinner, they eat for breakfast. It's wholesome.
Yeah, and they have jobs and have kids and are athletes and they're doing all the same stuff.
Yeah, Chippy, do you want to jump in there first before?
Yeah,
we hop on that?
how long out before a game? I know we were talking to Shane Wright, or was it Othman? Like some guys eat like at 2:00, they'll be playing at 8 as their last meal.
Yeah,
Like,
Stankoven said he's eating at 4 and going to the game at 7, which he said was like that's pretty.
Everyone
soon.
said that's really late to eat before.
Yeah,
a
late,
game.
yeah. And for me, I'm like, I'm in at 6, and then I'm on the ice at like 7 p.m. So
yeah, like
men's league is not as performance driven.
Yeah, I eat at breakfast at like 8. Pregame meal anywhere from like 11 to 2, depending on my nap schedule. Like when we got in, what I ate for breakfast. Was I hungry or whatever? And then something I started to do. I didn't do it as much earlier in my career. Was I will have a pretty sizable snacks like banana too. We have these like oat bars that have some protein in them. They're pretty good. I'll have like a protein shake or something. I'm not eating all of these before the game, but
One or the
let's
other,
call
yeah.
that like anywhere between 4 and 5. And then maybe a carbohydrate source. There's one called UCAN that's pretty good. It's like a slower digesting carb. I'll use that sometimes during a game. Creatine, beta alanine, all good studies on them. They're not a lot of harmful side effects from what I've read.
Yeah.
And I found that keeps me much more in it. It's not necessarily that game. It's like the next game.
okay.
I don't feel as flat.
The recovery
I've
it
got-
helps with
yeah,
more so,
yeah.
right?
After the game, are you like scarfing down a steak dinner or something? I get so hungry. We play at like 10
Yeah,
p.m.
something like that. Yeah.
Nice.
You gotta replenish.
I play with guys that I don't know how they do it. There was one guy I played in the NHL. I think it was I guess I'll leave his name out, but every game he'd do those recovery boots on the bird, and he would do like a bottle of wine.
Jeez,
That was it.
Wild.
Just bottle of red recovery boots in his show. Guy played like 1,000 games. It's like
That's what I'm saying. Like some guys, I just want to throw Phil Kessel out there. He's an Iron Man, right? Like he has not missed a game.
which I think brings us full circle to that video. That do developers are we uncovering the marble that was already there?
Yeah.
Like the question is always, I mean, McDavid's a tremendous example. Like this guy he's out to get somebody to be his best. Like
Yeah.
he is chasing whatever future version of himself he thinks is available through his potential. Like he hates that guy.
Yeah.
He's coming after that guy every day.
Right.
Who was
And,
it? Matthew
The best of the best
McConaughey.
are that way.
Matthew McConaughey had like a speech about that or something. He's like, "Who's your hero?" And he's like, "It's me in 10 years."
Huh.
And he says that every 10 years or whatever.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So
McDavid is
Phil's
a
had an
specimen.
outstanding career.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, we don't know. Could he have been better? I don't know.
I mean, he's great. He's an Iron Man. He's
I love
a
Phil.
wonderful career, and he found something that works for him. And I guess if it works, then why mess with it? Maybe he would try. And I have no idea of his personal training, but just from the media, it seems like it's not as high as there's even from stories from his teammates. Some guy, who was it, said he eats like a bowl of cheese with his dinner.
I love it. I absolutely
I've heard.
love it. I love
The
it.
craziest thing I ever saw was I had a teammate, Mikhail Maltsev. I think he's with Colorado's organization now. It was after a game in Boston, and we're sitting there having dinner. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Dude, it's after the game. You're crushing a sugar-free Red Bull. Like it's 12 o'clock at night."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I like the taste." I'm like, "You're sick. Like you're
How
trying
you
to go to
gonna
sleep in an hour."
Yeah, how are you gonna sleep?
He didn't mind apparently.
Have you seen guys where they did have a downfall where you're like, no man, like don't do that, and then they end up like 3 years later they're not playing anymore? Is there any examples like that?
Oh, I mean, all the time. We could look at my career and go through some of the injury and things that I know worked for me when I was young, and then were really hard for me to balance with my pro career. I'll think of one. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like I've said that a few times. There is the career that you actually do have, and then there's the career you could have had. And you look at certain players around the league, and like Phil Kessel's been tremendous. Evgeny Kuznetsov's tremendous. Nikita Kucherov's tremendous. But every guy in there, like their routines and how they prepare for their career is kind of known. There's arguments to be made. Like, did you have 80 points or did you have 130 points? Because that's a big difference. Did you have 30 goals or did you have 55 goals?
Yeah.
That's a big difference. And
Yeah.
it's up to you. It's what's your vibe?
I feel if you are committing yourself and you're doing the best, then you're putting your best self out there each game. And you can be proud of that. And of course, obviously, you need some time off. Nobody can be 100% focused on a certain thing. Like, you also need balance in your life. Like, you've got a wife and you've got a kid. You should spend some time with them as well, right? It wouldn't be fair to them if you're just 100% committed to this game. I feel like there's obviously sacrifice there, but you can be proud looking back that you gave it your all and you made it and you accomplished your goals. Like, it's hard to, I guess, give yourself an unlofty expectation and then try to achieve it and be disappointed. Like, in the end, you were you, right? That's all you can be.
Yeah, and as long as you're like consciously choosing this, like I had a trainer once time tell me, like, some people sleep well at night knowing they gave the day everything they had. Some people sleep well at night knowing that they left a little in the tank for tomorrow.
Interesting, yeah.
And it's kind of like, which one of those are you? Which one of those are you when your career is over? I get it. Like, diving in front of slap shots and taking them off the face, like, that's not for everybody. That's how certain guys make their money.
Yeah.
And so that's the game within the game that they need to play. The guy that's got 30 goals and, like, somehow he's just, puck goes out to his point and he's the winger and, like, he hasn't blocked a shot and it's been 45 games in. Like, that's not by accident either.
Yeah.
And his game within the game might be like, you know what? Nah, not what they pay me for. I'm good. I don't want to break a foot.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I mean,
Just
I've seen
depends.
Ovi sit on the Ovi spot, and he's standing straight up. And I remember watching him. It's like the camera's never pointed at him when he's doing that, right? It's always pointed at him when he's, like, engaged. He's got that hockey sense. He's explosive. He's flying around people. But if you watch him 80% of the time, he's kind of just like, well, especially in the power play, he's just in the Ovi spot. He's standing straight up, and he's just kind of looking around. It's like he's waiting for the
It's
bus.
optimized.
He's optimized. Yeah, he's optimized. And then right when it looks like he's going to hit the puck, he's like, boom, he's locked in. Boom, he claps it right into the net. And he doesn't miss that top spot, right? Like, it's wild. But, yeah, you find your specialty and you perform. And he's just clapping the pucks in there. So
I have a question, Connor. What's the room dynamic between, like, players? Like, you have, like, an OV who's obviously top tier in the organization, and maybe there's fourth liners. What's the dynamic in the room? Is everyone, like, equal, or are some guys, like, more important per se, or, like, coaches treat them differently? Like, what's the dynamic in an NHL room with different types of players?
it's been different, everywhere I've played. It really depends on the different personalities. You can have the same room that even gets another player traded in, and it changes the dynamic and what they bring and how they challenge guys or the energy that they have. And I don't know. I think what I will say is I think the better teams and the better organizations and the better coaches treat everyone as equally important for the win.
Right.
To win every night.
The common goal, yeah.
But, there's no question what each guy brings is not, it's not about fairness.
Yeah.
That's not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
There are absolutely guys that can make, a couple more mistakes each night and keep going out there based on the accolades, based on what they're doing, based on how they're being compensated by the organization. We have investment in this player. That's just the nature of the business. But, like, I've always felt the best coaches unite a team, to sort of outplay the guy in their role on the other side, because there is that player. And if you're doing that, then that's good for your career, because every team needs those guys, and maybe you can climb up the ranks, for example. I think of a guy I played with would be Matt Martin. There's a lot of guys that come in the league and have, played, 5 minutes, third, fourth line role, go out there, be physical, provide energy, be trustworthy, be hard to play against, chirp somebody if our team sucks, or fight somebody and get our team going, or home fans going. A lot of guys come in and try that role. They're not all, 6'2", 6'3", 225, good hands around the net, and, can make a bunch of money, like he has, and then had the longevity that he's had. So what's the secret sauce there? How's he been able to do that? So I don't know.
Who's your favorite coach that you've had?
Favorite coach? That's interesting. Like, everyone's, kind of has different offerings. I thought Sheldon Keefe, when I was with the Toronto Marlies, was great.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked what he brought for my game, and he was really crafty offensively and getting certain guys to play certain spots. What's up,
We got a
boys?
little, yeah, we got a little camera issue here.
Good thing I put my pants on today.
Windy in there. You know, hey, better you than me. I'm not wearing pants. No, I'm just kidding. But
So
Yeah.
so Sheldon Keefe. So what is he?
Let's reset that one.
Okay.
reset that one.
Yeah. I'm just
You're good.
this camera set up. No, I was pointed like. There we go. We're good now. Yeah. So you're a fan of
Yeah,
Sheldon Keefe.
so
He
some
seems
of-
to be doing well. All right in Toronto right now.
I think Sheldon was just really sharp. He had this concept of like, okay, every team comes out and they want to be good offensively and they want to be hard to play against defensively. Who is not hard to play against defensively? Either when a defensive structure has less players, like they're on the penalty kill, or they're taking bad line changes and we're playing off the rush against 2 players for their 1 or 3 players to their 2. Or tired players. Tired players stink at playing defense. The legs go straight, like they can't check. So he would, have a system. How do we get guys tired? How do we get them diving in the bench? And this was something that he coached and demanded of guys
Mm-hmm.
in a way that was unique. I haven't really seen a lot of it since. Jim Montgomery's done a great job in Boston. I had him in Dallas. I think he had, some great ideas and just an encouragement of playing the game a certain way that I think's been successful with both clubs. Barry Trotz has, done really, really well. And he, even within their style, they have certain things that I think are really cool. Like one of the things I first saw with Barry was he would loop practice. So every practice would be, it would have a name and he would play it on loop, like in the breakfast room. So guys would be eating and you get out there and like practice was like, you didn't have to worry about what the drill was. Like you just focus on the execution. I thought that was awesome.
That's interesting.
Todd Reardon, every team talks about defending hard and with a good stick. Like, what does that mean? Todd would like follow the drills in practice, and just as a verbal cue, as a reminder, he wasn't yelling at you. He would just say the whole 1-on-1 or the whole 2-on-2. He would go stick, 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 and you're like conscious of everything your stick was doing. It really brought a lot of attention there. It was super helpful for me. So everyone's kind of got their flavor.
There's a great tweet from Datsuk from years back, and he basically said every coach has something to offer. Like, take away what will help you. And I thought that was great. Someone asked him who was the best coach, and essentially that's the same thing. Like, find what that coach can give you. I mean, he's your coach. You can't really complain about it. He's the guy, so you got to stick with what he's bringing and take something away from it. What's your take on Babcock? Because I know, like, I remember reading his book and thinking, man, what a great guy. He seemed like a salt of the earth type of guy as far as what he put forth in his coaching book. And then I was really taken back on some of the pushback from other players when that whole thing went down with sort of like setting guys up or pitting people against each other. I mean, we can talk about it or not talk about it, or just give like a short answer, whatever.
He's a heavy name. He's a heavy name. He's an influential character in hockey, and I'm still in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think similar to the Datsu comment, there are some things now that I'm out of that realm of playing for him. That you're like, okay, that makes sense. I like that. One of the things, for example, he did that I loved, every win, he would keep on loop. It was just like a subconscious like programming. He would have like all the highlight plays of like what he liked, like identity clips, and they would just play on loop. So we didn't have to have video of them, but you'd seen them 200 times by the time you got on the ice.
When you're talking
and then
loop,
the first
that's
drill
like,
would be like a small ice game.
Sorry, on loop, like is that when like the meals like on the bus, whatever, like where are you seeing?
No, like on loop on the TV screen, like at your home rink. So it'd be like just on the video screen playing over and over and over.
I see.
And it'd be like getting it to the net, middle pops off the breakout, playing along in the neutral zone, playing with pace, like center lane speed on the forecheck, going low to high, shooting the puck right away. Like these were things that I'd never played for a coach that was clear on what he valued. That he was so clear on what he cared about. He was incredibly good at looking kind of downstream, root cause. So let's say we're breaking out. Well, our defensemen don't all of a sudden suck. Like they're all good players. They're good yesterday. They're good today. We can't break out at all. Why? Because we're not holding anybody up in the neutral zone. So we'd be pissed at our whole neutral zone. Like, guys, we've got to be stickier. They're playing with way too much pace through us. They're getting way too many numbers on our D-man. We can't break out. Versus other coaches I've had would just yell at the D-man saying, make better plays. And it's like, I'm trying. Like, they're all over us. Like,
need to have a pass
nowhere
lane
to
get to,
Yeah, you got to have a lane. You got to have less guys to worry about. I just think, for the way the team was built, there were some, X and O's things that I'd seen other teams doing that I thought would work for us. And I know, for me personally and just what my role was on the team, it was hard. It was hard to play for.
Okay.
And a lot of it, what I would say is came down to, I'll give you an example, was ice time.
Mm.
So there were mistakes I made later in my career that were minor mistakes there, or I would get another shift versus like I was done.
Right.
Yeah, that's tough.
Like, and it was not necessarily even like certain times things that I did. Like if I was just on the ice at all, and we got scored on, that was it.
Huh.
That's hard.
Yeah. That's tough.
And if my matchup for whatever reason just like didn't score and I was going good, I played 20 minutes. And it wasn't necessarily that I was playing well. It was just like nothing.
The stars aligned that night.
Ended up in my net. Yeah. And so there was a degree of separation away from like how I was actually going, an investment in terms of like maybe I was going good, had a tough read or something, and then was able to like get my game back. There was none of that.
Yeah.
It's like
Let's flip the script, make a positive out of this. If let's say you're a coach in this situation, how are you going to deal with a player in that situation?
I think it depends on the player and how much you like them. I mean, as a coach, I get it. If you don't think this player is any good, like, and I don't really want him in my organization, I'm not that interested in getting him going. I just think he's the wrong fit, and that's possible. As a coach, I think it's a fine line where like you want guys emotionally invested, you want them to be energetic, you want them to be confident, you want them to understand how you want to play on a macro level, you want them to understand like on a micro level, like what is it you do here, what is it you do within your line, and to do that. And I think the more you focus on that clarity, it helps guys know where to go. It's like the way I view it, like there's all sorts of green light moments on the ice. And I want guys to recognize as many greens as possible. Another Matthew McConaughey. Similar. But like, I want guys to be like lighten up. Like, oh, I know what to do here. This pattern, I've been here before. It's like Bergeron and that little pop shot that he takes. It's like there's 10 times a game, 20 times a game where Marchand gets a puck in the corner and he thinks, if I can cut back on this guy, I'm gonna get a little open ice. And at the same time, Bergeron's like, I'm gonna keep this defenseman close to me. And as soon as Marshy cuts back, because we've done this 2 million times, I'm going to cross-check him, get 6 feet, and bang this one time.
We've seen it many a time, yeah.
And I love that play, right?
Yeah.
And like, I want to build those into guys where there's not a rumination on what it is we don't do. They're just so clear on how we play, what builds success for each guy, and doing that as units of 5, one after another.
That would be a great motto for a coach, to give each player clearly defined roles, know what's expected of them. And I think if you have that in an organization, it's hard to have miscommunications, or like if the coach is upset with you, you know exactly why, because you know what's expected of you. It goes back to a quote I heard, being a married man myself. The most successful marriages are when each partner has clearly defined roles. They just know sort of, so there's no arguing over, oh, you were supposed to do dishes. It's like, oh, I do the dishes and you're doing laundry, whatever. I'm taking it to a very simple approach here, but it just helps with a relationship, and in a dressing room, there's a lot of relationships going on there. So yeah, I like that. Clearly just knowing what you're supposed to be doing. All right, we don't want to take up too much of your time here. I love talking with you. I think we could probably have you on 4 or 5 times. Let's talk about your 5 years. Like, right now you're on the Bruins. Obviously you'd love to be brought up, and the Bruins have such a great team. So you're in Providence. Going 5 years down the road, where are you looking? Like, what's your focus on? What are you working the hardest at? And take us like a few years from now, and then all the way 5 years down the road.
Interesting. I would say, on the offensive side, I just think there's been so much development. Scoring's up in the league, and I think offensive execution is going to continue to climb. And so it's always about pursuing like what's going on with my skates, what's going on with my stick, how can I shoot the puck differently, how can I get into better spots, because different teams value different things at different times. Like I remember when Montreal had the deep playoff run that they'd had, like a lot of teams in free agency were looking for depth D-men that were big. They wanted size, they wanted Edmondson, they wanted, I think was John Merrill on that team, I'm forgetting who, they wanted length. And then the next year in free agency, like things kind of came back with Colorado, with some of the more mobile defensemen they had, and more teams wanted that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so it was like, I thought they didn't want me last year, and all these teams do,
Yeah.
and like now it's a weird thing. Skating for sure. I just think as a defenseman, you have to be able to get places. You have to be pure in your reads. Another toy I'm going to play with is some of the virtual reality stuff. I just picked up one of those like Sense Arenas, and I just think
Yeah, they're solid.
getting back to like the pattern recognition. Like I think as much as you can get, continue to get really clear on those reads, and just at this point in my career, going through like the imagination, like what would it actually? How would I actually have to move to make reads faster and play better?
Mm-hmm.
Where would I get that? What would realizing that they're going to chip the puck in faster? Where would I have to be on the ice to recognize that?
Right.
What would it literally feel like to skate faster and be able to pluck that puck off the wall clean, not fumble it in my feet, and be able to decide as I'm rounding the net, like, can I walk this guy this F2? Like, should I bank it off the wall and jump by him? Can I find a lane and extend the forecheck or stick so I can slip it to the middle? What's our coach care about? So 5 years down the road, I'd say it comes back to those two things I talked about earlier in the podcast, like being able to be more deadly off the rush against, so I don't have to play against bigger players in my own zone, dots down, where it is big and slow. I think of some of the better players that are good there. Pat Maroon, Sean Corrales is a great down low player. John Tavares is stellar for that. Ryan O'Reilly is another classic. Like these guys are really good there, and then being able to be more lethal off the rush going the other way, just being faster and being better at holding the middle of the rink, so I'm an option for some of my forwards.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know, on the social media side, like I think just continuing to make myself more available and answer the needs that players have. I get a lot of outreach, and if anyone wants to reach out to me about their game or supplement the mental side, like I've spent a lot of time studying some of this stuff, and I think it's a lot of fun to work with good young players. But like, I'm also not going to make this super easy. Like, I'm not going to just show you the answers. Like,
some of it's self-discovery, right? Like you put them on the path and they figure it out, right?
You want to understand the frameworks. Like, I don't want to go over like one particular play or this particular play. Like, how do you think about the game at a high level? I've asked that question of, some of the hiring consultants I've been able to find and some of the better coaches I've had. Like, why do we play this way? Like, based off of what metric?
Can you see yourself working for an NHL organization in the future, maybe on the training side, mental side? Is that something maybe you're interested in doing?
I think so. I think management's interesting. I think organizing systems, and working with people to, again, understand their role and be able to like set us up for success today, in the future, and for when I were to leave, for example, someday from a cultural and a system standpoint. I think that's really cool.
Right.
I love the good coaches I've had in my career. They've been such an influence on me and have made my year better, have made my life better coming to the rink. To be that person of influence, I think is really positive. We'll see.
Hey, Aiden, you had a question. You were talking about just like the mental side and, what happens.
You strike me as someone who understands the difference between motivation and dedication. But everyone has like ups and downs, highs and lows throughout. Like, you have so many things that's on your plate that you want to do. You choose to do it, like you said earlier. But on those days when you maybe you're not feeling it, or like you have a down week even, what do you do to kind of get back in that right mental headspace to kind of get back to that dedication? Or does it just never waver because it's just your routine now?
I would say it's closer to never wavering.
Right.
And this is a really hard pill to swallow. Like, I was on a podcast yesterday and I said this
with Jeff Delvecchio.
With Jeff Lavecchio. I said,
he's a beaut.
I said, motivated athletes will kick disciplined athletes' ass every time.
Right.
And so motivation is being in a state where you genuinely want to. Discipline is where you don't want to, but you should.
True. Yeah.
And it's funny. We're at like a team party recently, And I was just kind of out of it. Like I was tired from the weekend of playing.
Mhm.
And one of my teammates kind of I'm a good dancer. I'm like the locker room dance champ.
nice.
It's my thing. Right?
Body moving.
Shouldn't have said
baby.
that.
And
I love
Big
it.
So-
career in
so-
TikTok for you.
so I start. So one of my teammates is like, "Come on, Carrick, like get it going," because I wasn't doing my thing.
Right.
And I thought to myself, I'm like, you don't get to be selective. Like once you're the energy guy for the team party, like
That's
you
your
got to show
identity.
up.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go.
You
Show
gotta do it.
up.
And so earlier in my career, like I had those moments where, oh, I'm in warmups. I don't feel good. My legs are shit. Like the other team's whatever,
Mhm.
right? And the whole game goes by, and I'm like, darn, man, I just didn't have it tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's easy to like disown our bad performance. It's like, oh, that's not me. That's not who I am.
Mm.
It's like, yeah, it is. Everyone just saw it.
Yeah.
You're just
Fair.
as much your bad performances as you are your good.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. So I was wearing these skates I didn't like recently. They were kind of beat down, and it's easy to mentally go, my skates are beat up. They're not right. I gotta next week I'll get my new ones. I'll
Mental
be better.
excuses. Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I'm like, actually, no, I'm gonna dominate tonight with whatever's on my feet.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Just
Yeah.
I don't care if I got gym shoes on.
just thoughts.
Yeah.
I was talking to Travis Zajac one time, and he said, like, I get a huge kick out of. I love outplaying their top center when I feel terrible.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
He's
That's
like,
good.
because my B game or my C game is going to beat your A game tonight.
That's a good quote. Love it. Yeah.
That's motivated players. They're just bringing it.
I gotta tap into this. I'm a huge Leafs fan. What was it like playing in Toronto, like the biggest market in hockey? What were the fans like? What was the pressure like? What was it like
It's
playing in
electric.
Pappy?
I loved it. It's what I think every NHL atmosphere should be. It's a beautiful jersey. It means a lot. There's a certain level of celebration of what you're a part of, and there are other places I know that have it. Like I've talked to other players that played for the Rangers, played for like the Blackhawks in their heyday, and they were really good. And like they talk about things with a certain level of esteem of being the creme de la creme of the best league in the world, and that's what Toronto Maple Leafs in a lot of ways are. I loved it. The only difference is like I was in Austin Matthews scoring 60s. So like I don't know what it's like to be AM 34 going to the grocery store. Like that might be old.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's doing it for like a year or two. He's doing it for like a long time.
Yeah.
And hopefully for Leafs fans, like his whole career.
Yeah.
Right. Who knows?
What is Poppy like? What is he? What's his? Is he? For me, I just seem like he's the coolest guy on earth. That's the vibe I get from him. Like he seems like
he's a stud.
He's just a stud.
He's a stud.
Eh? Good in the room.
Marner's a stud.
Yeah.
Tavares is a stud. Riley's a stud. They're all stud. They're all great players. They're all. You'd miss them if they were gone. They're human and playing against other very good players. Will make mistakes. I remember talking to Ron Hainsey, who I think's with the organization in some capacity, if I'm not mistaken. Crazy poise, super veteran, played a gazillion years.
Yeah.
I remember talking to him, I think it was in Pittsburgh. I'm like, what kind of separated? Like 1 year they win the cup, the 1 year they don't. He's like, just 1 year, game 7 hits the post and goes out. The next year, like, goes in.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like, that's the difference.
Yeah.
And that
And we
could
like
happen.
to think it's like, that team doesn't have it, or like, it's like, well,
They didn't have it
sometimes
that
they
one
rolled out
game.
that way.
Yeah, sometimes the
Yeah,
bounces
so we'll
don't
see.
go your way. Yeah.
I've seen that before where a team could have been eliminated in the first round, had one bounce gone the other way. They weren't eliminated in the first round. Then they go on to win the Stanley Cup. So it's like they were, a couple inches away from elimination versus, and, forgotten versus Stanley Cup champs. And that's just the crazy thing about hockey. It's such a dynamic sport. It's not like basketball where one guy's going to take you all the way pretty much 90% of the time. It's it's a tough sport to play, and I guess it kind of drives you crazy probably because you're an analytical mind. It's hard to get the answers that you want, right? To always.
Well, it's just hard to get your best players in favorable situations. Like your best players are going to touch the ball every possession in basketball.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and they're going to get down to the other side of the floor. Like they never just like get stuffed at like half court. Like you can play a whole shift in your end. Like you play a whole period in your end.
Yeah.
In the NHL, just the way the game's structured. Like it's hard to get to the other end in a scoring position. And
they did a study where the puck possession time in a game, the best players have the puck on their stick about a minute. 1 minute of the full 60, right? And that's your chance to do something with it, right? And even got shots on goal. Like the best players are getting 5 shots on goal, right? You got to put a few of them in if you want a good game, right? If you miss those,
you're shooting you're shooting 5 shots a game, and the goalie save percentage is like 92%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder.
Try to
So
get
now
Hattie.
what?
Yeah.
So now what? Yeah, score Hattie is right.
Who was the hardest person to play against in practice? Like who on one-on-one? Who was just hard to contain? Like
I mean, 30, 34, and 16.
Yeah.
We would do this like one-on-one drill, for example. It was like both forward, D-men started the red line, forward at the blue line, like, skate down towards one end. Coach will pass the forward a puck and, like, gap up and close him. Like, Mitch would do, like, crazy stuff. Mitch would, like, catch the pass, he'd gap up on him, and he'd, like, could decide to go back behind his own net, like,
my
wind it up. You'd be gapping up on him, you'd, like, shoot it off the end wall and go get it. And you're like,
Just
I'm going to two-hand this guy in the head. Like, this guy's driving me nuts.
Yeah.
Matt's he's so big, he's so strong, he thinks the game's so fast.
yeah, like what's Matthews like really good at that we wouldn't like know? Like obviously he's got the shot, but like is he like super crafty? His hands seem crazy. Not the fastest.
Yeah, just his processing speed. He's just able to process so much information so fast.
I
like
see
he just
I see that.
the puck's there. I see that it's there. The defender sees that it's there. Both of them have the idea to like go grab it. Austin has already done it and is by you, like as you're on your way to grab the puck, and you're like trying to sort out how he's able to think so fast and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's 6'3", and he's 220 pounds.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he's
Strong
sick.
on the stick, it seems like. It seems like he's one of the best players at just like lifting the stick, and the next thing you know, he's going the other way. Like I feel like that's an underrated part of his game too. Like just
he's stupid strong, and he's sneaky that way. Like it's part of his offensive personality. He has a bit of anger to his game, which I've always really liked. Like he hates the fact that you have the puck. He can't believe that his last shot didn't go in.
really.
And there's a level of I told you so. Think back to when he had the goal called off and he's like, calling his own goal.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that to his personality, and I love it.
yeah.
I've always loved it.
Yeah, I'm here for that. That's
So
sick.
he's competitive because to me it looks like he's nonchalant, Matthews, Pappy. So he does have that grit or compete.
He's extremely great. I think some of his on ice persona, again, like I don't watch all the time.
Like he's not very physical. Like he doesn't throw a lot of hits.
Matthews?
I think a lot of that has to do with.
absolutely not.
I wonder what the stat is, particularly on that, because there's
he's
certain
like
guys
fourth
that
on the team that he hit and hit.
This year, I think, but like when the first year he came in the league, he wouldn't hit anyone. I didn't notice, but
Yeah.
it seemed like he would.
He's
he was-
warming up.
He was more of a
the
stick
other thing
lifter.
I'll say is like
get the puck.
the other thing I'll say is like Ovi's mastered this art. Like he's not. Game one of the Stanley Cup Finals, the guy just played 82 games. Like he should be tired, and like he is blowing people.
Oh, he
up.
hammers
Yeah.
guys. Is he
Hammers
the scariest
guys.
guy to play against? That guy just
He's the
crushes
guy
guys.
that like you just come playoff time. You may have passed a puck 2 minutes ago, and he's gonna hit you. Like
he
you
just
don't know.
volleyball. He
And-
just
and it's
comes
that-
in like a
it's that-
wrecking crew.
He's massive. He's a very big
You could have
person.
passed it off the last shift, and he'll come and hit you
Yeah,
as you're
he's
coming onto the net.
finishing that check.
Yeah, he's a big strong dude.
Right.
All right, let's wrap it up. We got I want to hear a quick story from you. I mean, I feel in the NHL, the players, there must be a lot of like ego in the dressing room, something to navigate. You seem like you're a pretty chill player and kind of like have thought about that. Other players, they just kind of let the ego take control. I was listening to your podcast and you got a 10-minute game misconduct from one of the refs. And I feel there's a bit of ego going on in the ref situation. I had a good laugh.
Yeah, we were listening to that on the way to our men's league.
Yeah, on the way
game.
to the men's
I
league,
was
we were just that
dying.
one.
I was
what happened
pissed
there.
at myself for that. I was definitely pissed at that ref. I've definitely treated him different since because we've crossed paths quite a few times.
Okay.
Since and I just made a decision. Like I've watched other players throw a fit about calls, and I just decided like that to the best of my ability, I'm just not going to do that anymore. I don't like the way it looks.
Right.
Right.
I think it looks rattled. I think it looks short.
Yep.
It used to kind of get me into the game if I was, feeling quiet or just like hadn't been into it. But at the end of the day, I just realized I'm like, they're a neutral party. It's their job to see it, call it as they see it.
Yeah.
No one likes getting yelled at. It's probably not going to help.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you want them to
Get
be your
back
friend,
to-
kind of. You want them to make
Get
calls
get
for
back
you.
to, doing my job and
You give him a compliment at the beginning
And,
of the game, eh? You look great, ref. Try to get him on your side.
yeah. Why not? I like skating looks good tonight. Hair gel looked good during the
Yeah, a little
anthem.
something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Butter them up.
Well, tell us what happened there. Give us the recap for the people who didn't hear it
Well,
on
the
the
ref
pod.
pissed me off. I thought he missed a play, and so I said there was a slash, and he told me to like be quiet. I've been in the NHL all year. And I was like, what? Like, did I just get like hockey DB'd by a ref? Like, you know,
Which I
'cause
thought
that's kind
was
of the old adage, you know, when you get like guys that have a ton of games in the NHL. Like, I was the young kid once, like you chirp him, the guy'd be like, Google me, bud, or like,
Yeah,
I'll hit you with my wallet, right? Like, because they made a bunch of money. These are things I've heard, or
Right.
you know, I'm like, did I just get like hockey DB'd by a ref? So I'm not happy.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, a teammate, it was a teammate took a penalty and was losing his mind. This guy actually was kind of famous for some of these. Cole Lind with Coachella Valley, great player, great kid. But he had a lot of penalty minutes last year. And some of them were for fighting or for hitting, but a lot of them were for like getting pissed off at the other team or at the ref.
Like
And so
Deacon,
Cole
yeah.
is like losing his mind on this guy. And I had already had this interaction. So I was like, Lindy, leave him alone. When this guy's been in the NHL all year. Like, you know,
That's so good.
and the ref 10'd me up.
Oh my god. You didn't like the joke?
I didn't like the joke.
that's what I'm saying. It's all
And,
ego there.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy. And then, so anyway, I get 10. I'm really embarrassed because it was a close game. And, you know, I, like I said, you know, kind of feel differently now. In the next game, he goes, the next game we had the same ref.
Oh yeah.
So now I'm like, oh no, we got the same ref. Like, I'm in trouble. And he calls me over. He was like, hey, Carrick, 5 years of being a ref, I've never had this issue. Okay, I've never given a 10.
Wow.
And I sat there and I was like, understood. And like in the back, I didn't say it. I did not say it. But in the back of my head, I'm like, 10 years, I've never taken one. like,
Jeez.
you know, like.
Yeah.
So,
that would have been great.
Cherry on top.
I did not say it, and I won't. And if that ref's listening, like I apologize, and I know you have a really tough job to do, and you know, it's something that, you know, when I think of how I want to play the game and the players that I really admire, there's just a higher level of respect for themselves, for the ref, and even for their opponent.
Yep.
I feel differently now, and I'm proud that I did not say that, because I like a last word as much as the next guy, and
it can live
just
here on the
trying to
pod.
be less snippy that way, you know.
No, that's a good one. I mean, it definitely you caught him. You got the ego going, and you know that's the reason, because afterwards he probably calmed down, cooled down, thought about it, and he came to you and said, you know, I'm sorry about that, right? So you know that he was already a bit agitated. He's in a heightened sense. I'm raising an 8-year-old, and we're dealing with that. You know, when he's got his calm state, he's got his elevated state, and then he's in the fight or flight. And once he's in that
Totally dysregulated.
yeah, like you just like his mind is filled with hormones and stuff's happening. You're basically trying to deal with someone who's possessed, right? And even if you catch him in that heightened state, he's a little worked up. It's tough. Things are like he's gonna snap at something that normally he wouldn't. So I'm guessing that ref must have not been too happy to be down there.
I'll leave you with this. There was a really scary incident where I was in a road rage incident. And the guy, I was just looking for parking. Guy's honking at me like 30 times. I go to park. This is in Boston. He like pulls over and like is asking me to get out and stuff. And I just said, like, I was just, you know, trying to park, and I'm thank God no one got hurt. Like I thought the guy might have a gun or whatever. Like he was so hot that we were way beyond being able to guess what this guy was up to. Like it was a total X factor at this point.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I didn't get out. You know, I was able to like just dismiss it, you know, get out of Dodge. My wife was in the car, my kid was in the car, and I was talking to a friend about this regularly. Oh, this was a lot. This was a 10 out of 10 in terms of you know, stress. I was really concerned for myself and what was going to go on. And she had a comment like, you know, aren't you proud of yourself that you were able to like, you know, kind of downregulate like in the moment? And I was like, yeah. And she said, she was asked a question at like a conference because she was speaking on this type of thing. And she was like, you know, what is the best way to deal with stress in a really intense state? Like when things are really dysregulating. And she was like, I wouldn't wait till that moment. Like you got to do the work ahead of time.
Right.
You really do.
And I was like, you know, thank God I do some of that work, because who knows,
Yeah.
you know, if I let the wrong side of myself come out of that. and
Yep.
we just don't know.
Everyone's got that dog in them, right? You got it, and
And you don't know who you're dealing with too. Like you don't know what this person's going through, what
No
their
clue.
mind
There were multiple
is.
people in the car.
Yeah, it's
like
Yeah.
complete
I don't
chaos,
know.
complete unknown.
Well, yeah. Let's wrap it up. We are the Puck Daddy podcast. We got one actual daddy here, and another on the pod here. Just let us know what was it like, having a kid, and how did that sort of change? Because for me, like having our first, my whole life changed. Like everything I thought was important changed, and I look forward to new things that I never even thought about before. I just want to hear that from like you're a pro, you have a lot more on the table. What was that like having your first?
I love it. I mean, I feel so fortunate, and he's healthy, and he loves his mom, and we have like similar interests in common, at least for today, and
Yeah,
Right.
things we can play with and do, and it's been really incredible. I can't believe how vibrant the love for him is. I had an uncle that said to me, I have a good relationship with both my parents, so I say that with a good fortune. And he said, now that you have a son, he goes, you now know how loved you are.
I love that. That's
Right.
great.
And that really shook me up at that moment. And
I'm getting
I don't know.
teary-eyed
I
here.
think similar to you, Jeremy. Like I definitely want to show up as my best, because my life, like he's going to see it. He's going to know who his dad is,
Yeah.
and I want to be proud of what he has before him. So
I think
it's
he's definitely going to be proud of you. You're a great role model, great
Thanks,
guy.
guys.
And I've only seen you. Great guy on and off the ice. I'll go ahead and say that.
Yeah.
Right? On and off the
Thanks,
ice,
guys.
great guy, and it's been a pleasure having you on the pod.
Yeah.
And I didn't even dive into half the topics that I really want to dive into, so maybe we'll have you back on again.
we'll do it again.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
We'll
want
do
to
it
pick
again
your
for sure.
brain. I
All
want
right,
to
let
pick
me
your
know.
brain. I
I
want to
mean,
pick your brain.
yeah, we
I'm
want to
here.
nerd out on the mental side of things, and but
We really appreciate
the
you
sweet
coming
spot.
on.
yeah,
Anytime.
we appreciate
Anytime.
it, and
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
you, Connor.
yeah, go out there and play big.
Go flow, baby.
Will
Don't
do.
think too much. Just flow.
We'll do.
Let's go.
Thanks.
Thanks,
man.
boys.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
There we go.
Beauty.
Is the pod still on?
We yeah, the pod's going, but we lost the GoPro bit. Sorry to anyone who's watching on YouTube. You'll have to deal with
Right
it.
during the story time.
I know, yeah.
Ah, that's okay.
Yeah, that's great. So those are actually our first, we'll say NHL. We had Shane Wright who played some games.
Yeah, but he's
right?
played Connor. Like he's
first big dog.
played. He's just like he's been through
He's
so
seen
much.
some stuff.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's why I think he'd be excellent with an organization, because
Oh, yeah.
he's been up, down, he's been battling, he's still playing, he's been focusing on his diet. Like someone like him would be able to, for a new guy coming onto a team, be able to
Oh,
work with them and
Great mentor.
oh,
Yeah.
great mentor. And he seems very like, just seems like he was listening, like he was very like
Yeah.
He
slow
cares.
talking with his words, like
He's deliberate.
yeah,
deliberate.
very like yeah,
Yeah.
just a great guy to talk to.
And I feel like I didn't want to push on, like there's some areas where I'm like, oh, I'd love to ask this, but you could tell like he's very respectful.
Yeah,
Right? So
like,
he's
he
not
didn't
gonna
wanna
go like
mention names and
Yeah.
like,
and I'm the same way. Like I'm not trying to pull him down and like, oh, let's talk about this player. What about this guy? Like I'm not trying. We're
I
not
don't
trying
wanna
to
talk
trash.
about- I just want to talk about Pappy. I really want to talk about Pappy and Marner. Like,
No, it's great because he's hyping those guys up, right?
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation if you're talking to a guy. He's still in the league, right? He's a pro, he's very professional about what he's doing.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
He's-
that was
his-
awesome for him to come on. Yeah.
His job right now is basically to remain at an elite level, obviously, so that he can be called upon if needed for the Bruins.
Yeah.
And obviously play well for Providence, which
He's got 10 points his last 10 games. Like I looked
Yeah.
it up. Like he's playing well. He's offensive. Like
yeah, like he said,
maybe he gets a bump. Maybe something happens on Boston.
well, that's
and
the thing,
it's
it's-
an opportunity. Like
And I guess that's it. When the Bruins win basically every single game, how do you get a spot? How
but
do
you
how do
never, but you never know. Like what
Exactly.
happens, like injuries, like you don't know. Like you got to be ready. And it's like on a team like that, especially that they're gonna go deep.
Yeah.
Maybe they
Yeah.
need to bring up another defenseman for a 7th, 8th. Like I don't
Yeah.
know how that works going into the playoffs, but
Mhm.
he seems like a guy that would be. He has experience. He's been in the league for 10 years. Maybe you bring him up. I don't know. Hopefully, I really hope he gets a chance, an opportunity to.
He's definitely put in the work to deserve it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And like, yeah, it'd be nice to see.
I was looking up his hockey DB. There's like he's just played everywhere. Like he's
Yeah.
been. He's got a lot of experience. That's for sure.
Well, I think that's pretty much it. Like guys bring him in because they know he's got the experience, and then they'll give him a spot. But he's usually like bouncing AHL, NHL,
Yeah.
right? And he's like the call up guy. But it'd be great if he got a full time spot. And I think like given that, I'm sure that he could basically own it.
How
right?
old
Give
is
him-
he?
He's 28, I believe.
28,
Yeah.
like kind of prime. That's
I'd
kinda
say
like,
he's prime.
Yeah.
yeah, he's in this prime. Like,
Everyone go show him some love on his podcast too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
go tune in.
Go,
like,
go
Curious
to his podcast and leave a comment. Be like, I came from Puck Daddy.
It's the curious competitor. Yeah, great guy, and he brings in a lot of good guests, and he goes really deep into the stuff that's like interesting to him. So if you're into basically biohacking and elite performance and stuff like that, it's a great pod to go.
It's a
on.
good listen.
Yep. I say we wrap that up. We're
Yeah.
at an hour 40.
Yeah, we've been cooking her today.
All right. Yeah, well, that's a thank you for joining us. We will see you next week.
Yeah. Cheers, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Gonna change the world with my hockey stick. Gonna make a real difference. Feed the poor and heal the sick.